interview for 2016. As was stated earlier, everybody who's been a sponsor, all the panel members, and as you give yourself a hand, it's been going for a few weeks, you've done a wonderful job. And remember, all of the candidates who took time out to come here and be interviewed. It takes time out of their day, even though they're running for the job. It's nice to have them come and show their respect to you by sitting here and being asked questions. So again, I'd like to say congratulations to all the candidates, the panel members, and the sponsor. That being said, for Senate Assembly District 35, we only have one candidate here today, although 4 had signed up. Mr. Brent A. Jones, State Assemblyman. I'll allow you to give a 1-minute statement, and then the questions will begin.
Sure. First of all, if this is intended to be like an interrogation, I think it is. That bright light on you, you barely see you guys in the shadows. It's like out of a movie. But I'm the sitting assemblyman, and one of my big things is that, if you're a Democrat or Republican, I think it's okay if you represent what you represent when you get elected. When I say that, Democrats say that they want, more taxes, bigger government. They represent that. So if the people vote for them, then that's okay. My big pet peeve is what we did last time in our last Assembly and Senate and the whole session was a number of Republicans represented that they were going to adhere to the Republican principles of the platform, and then they betrayed the trust of the people. So that to me is unconscionable because you are just being a liar. And I know that people are tired of politicians being liars. I do adhere to our Republican principles. I'm for lower taxations. I did fight against the taxes. I'm for less government. All the things that the Republican platform stands for, I am for them, and I stood firm. I got high ratings with NPRI, which is the Nevada Policy Research Institute, and other organizations that judge. So basically, if you want a Republican, it's me. I stand to it. But I also respect Democrats because if they campaign on that and they get elected, then that's what the people want.
First question will come from Mr. Jones.
Good afternoon, Brent, and thank you very much for coming. I'm going to ask you a similar question that I asked Assemblyman Moore since you're sitting Assemblyman. There was a lot of, especially on the Republican side, there was a lot of people that felt betrayed because of the tax increase. However, I didn't see I didn't agree with the tax increase, obviously, but I didn't see the legislative session as a complete failure. I think you guys do some amazing work when it comes to education. I think educational savings accounts are a great thing, and I think that if it works well in Nevada, then hopefully that trend will continue through the country. But however, we knew this was coming when certain people took that money that they got and they applied it to a religious school. Then now there's a constitutional argument of whether it's constitutional or not. I know you guys tried to fix it with the special session, but the governor said, let's court case figure it out. What's your plans if you get reelected? What's your plans to clear up that language so that we do continue with the educational savings accounts?
Well, first of all, when we're up there, there's an organization called LCB that represents, they're all lawyers, they know the law, they've been working, they know how the courts are called interpreted. So they're best to handle it. What we do basically is we give an idea of what we want, and they're the ones that draft the language. So for me to tell you how the language would be drafted would be kind of idiotic, even though I'm not a lawyer. But that being said, I do want to comment on, we need more school choice because free market principles are the only thing that's been established, proven on any other states. Because we have 50 states, and they're like incubators of progress or incubators of ideas. And the things that really work, class size reductions pushed all the time, and that does not even work. Actually, if you get below 15 students in the class, their scores go worse than if it's between 15 and 25. So in that sweet range, it doesn't matter. Now over 30, it does start going down. But we do want more school choice, charter schools, ESAs. What's unfortunate is that the governor used the ESAs to get a lot of people to switch over and vote for the taxes. But the lieutenant governor's own law firm is the one that brought this lawsuit to stop the ESAs. So it's really, again, it's a betrayal because you're saying one thing to get what you want, but you really don't mean it. And we cannot continue just to fund a government-owned monopoly, which is the Clark County School District. To give an example where they say they need more money, we allocated hundreds of millions of dollars for class size reduction. They won't even allow an audit. They won't say where the money went. It just falls in the black hole with no accountability. So that's the problem.
All right, next question.
So, last legislature, you proposed a bill to eliminate Common Core. Can you explain for people what's so terrible about Common Core, what the problem is with Common Core, and why we should be opposed to it?
Okay, so I'm going to be kind of bold. If anybody is willing to go to Google and look up Common Core standards, I think you will see that if there was a conspiracy by the elites to dumb down our society, Common Core would be it. The curriculum is so convoluted, it's just parents can't even help their children because they don't understand it. So if the children can't be helped by their parents, they're only beholden by the teachers, and we know how much the teachers are really helping these kids. So first is the curriculum is terrible. Second thing is data mining. There's this page, hundreds of things that they mine, so you're going to be followed by the government from the cradle to the grave. Not only that, privacy issues have gone out the window now because the government gets it, the state gets it, all kinds of entities get to look at your child's information. And do you have a gun in the home? Do your parents fight? Do your parents do drugs? On and on and on are the things that they now ask and go into a database which can be tapped. So the data mining is terrible. Third is, it's a complete crony capitalist thing because there's only two companies across the country that can test the Common Core test, and they get, I think, $27 every time they initiate a test. It's just on a computer. So it's not like there's paper or there's anything, it just gets self-created like that. And so those two inside groups making millions and millions of dollars. So the curriculum is terrible, and I challenge anybody to Google it. By the way, our founding fathers were not really great guys if you look at Common Core too. They're bad guys, slave owners, and everything else. Two is the data mining, which is cradle to the grave now, and then three is the crony capitalism with only two companies that are allowed to test.
Next question, please.
Good morning, Assemblyman Jones. My name's Robert Faust. My question for you is, would you support a bill that would send traffic investigation for minor accidents to the insurance companies? Put it right on them so the police would have more time to investigate actual serious crimes, and the insurance company would absorb the investigation of their own accidents, their own claims.
You know, that I haven't even thought about that, so I can't give you an honest answer because I'd have to look at the issues. I'm always for more private enterprise doing stuff because when free markets are involved or when competing competition, usually you get a better product. I like to always hold up my iPhone or my Android and say, you know, this wasn't created in Russia or Europe. It was created in the United States because of free market principles. So I think that probably it would be better suited. You're talking obviously minor traffic accidents that don't involve injury. I think probably free market could sort it out better than the police. That being said, I'm not sure all the expenses. Whenever a bill's presented, for instance, I thought it would be a great idea just to add impounds for HOA fees right into the loans, and then there wouldn't be any issues like we had the supermajority liens and all these problems we have with HOAs and people taking the properties. But then the banks came back and said, are you kidding me? There's like over 600 different HOAs or something, or 1,000 HOAs in Las Vegas, and it'd be a monumental task for them to try to do that, so they were really against it. So until you really look at the issues and ferret it out, I can't give you a direct answer, but I think I'd probably lean that way.
All right, next question.
Glenn Connell, and once again, thank you very much for being the sole candidate to appear, and I can't imagine why your competitors wouldn't want to take the opportunity to come here. So in light of that, let's say you get elected this upcoming cycle, what's the first day on the job look like? What are you going to dive into?
Well, it depends. It depends if what of the referendums go through. For instance, I'm really upset about the tax increase. I think it's a really big harm on our businesses as a business owner myself. So I'll definitely be working to attack that. Hopefully the people will take care of that. I have what's called a contract with Nevada that I created. There's 10 common sense principles which were surveyed among Republicans, but many of them cross over. So I'm going to push for all those items to be pushed through. And you can go to contractwithnevada.com to see it. But it's the taxes, it's more school choice, as Jim just brought up. It's Common Core, like Rob brought up, get rid of Common Core. The Silver State Exchange, what a boondoggle waste of money that's been. And Obamacare is falling around. I don't know if you heard that United Healthcare, one of the largest health insurers, is pulling out now. It's just terrible. But we've wasted literally over $100 million on this thing and have gotten nothing out of it. The biggest surveyed item was police cameras. People in this state want cameras on their policemen to protect the honest policemen, but to expose the corrupt policemen. I think that most policemen are honest, so it will help them because there has been instances where people have made allegations towards policemen and the cameras have proved otherwise. So that'd be positive. The bathroom issues are on the contract as well, privacy and also the transgender issue. So I have those 10 items would be my priorities.
Next question.
Good afternoon, Brett Jones. This is Ron Q. My question is, as a Republican, you have voted well the way we wanted to be represented, but this upcoming primary, why should the establishment put at least 3 primaries against you to knock you out of the election?
4, but
Oh, 4 now. Used to be 3.
it's 4. I have 4 people in my primary, yes, and Paul Anderson, who is the head of the Assembly Caucus, who is the main person to push through the taxes on behest of Mike Roberson, who runs the Senate, and the governor, Peter Arnott, actually from our partners. But I'm their #1 target because I'm the loudest mouth in the room that's going to fight him. And he's told everybody that they want to take me out. Again, these are the guys that betrayed the trust of the people. They vote against the Republican principles. So I'm willing to stand up, and I've organized a number of other candidates which are going against the, if you use the term rhino, which is Republican in name only, candidates as well. So I have a big bullseye, and they're going to take me out, but I'm up for the challenge.
Jason Stoffel, private attorney. What is the biggest issue facing the residents of District 35?
You know, there's state issues and there's local issues. And statewide, obviously, I think the tax and keeping Nevada a business-friendly state. I left California because it's being ruined by liberal policies, literally. Just like, you know, Detroit used to be the most prosperous city in our country in the 50s, and then the liberals got a hold of it. Baltimore, same thing. Used to be very prosperous. So I hope I'm not offending any liberals, but if you just look at stats, it's the facts. Free markets and less regulation. So I left California to come to here, and I want to maintain this as a free market state. On a local level, I go to the HOAs and I ask, and one of the big things is in fact, I pushed this through last session, stoplights on El Capitan and Fort Apache on Blue Diamond Highway. Those people come down 65 miles an hour down the hill coming from Pahrump, and there's all kinds of backlog, people trying to get out in accidents that happen there. So I actually, on the transportation committee, I got 2 new stoplights to go on at the request of most of the Mountains Edge community, and those are going to be going in. So traffic is the biggest thing on a local, all the issues with the roads, the accordion effect and stuff. So although we only control the state highways, because Blue Diamond is considered a state highway, the county controls the interior roads. I definitely worked to get that specific item handled.
Next question.
Good afternoon, sir. Thank you for coming. Mike Edwards, United States Marine disabled vet from Desert Storm and the president of the Banquette Motorcycle Club here in Las Vegas. Speaking of transportation, it's a question I haven't asked anyone else yet, but I would like to ask you. When speed's not a factor, the leading cause of motorcycle collisions, vehicle deaths, and maimings, especially here in the valleys, is left turn in front of the motorcycle. Mathematical laws of perspective apply. Most humans are mistaken when trying to properly judge distance and rate of approach of a motorcycle. It's 1 headlight versus 2, so it's just been proven. Recently, Nevada has begun to install a left turn yield on flashing arrow at major intersections, and motorcycle accidents are increasing. What are the state's plans, or what would be your education program or PSAs urging drivers? And my thought on it would just be, stop trying to beat the bike. Save a few seconds, save a life. I'd just like your thoughts.
Well, first of all, I like studies. I'll give you an example. In the rural roads out here, we brought an action to increase the speed limit, I think, to 80 instead of 65 or 75. And statistics show that a higher speed limit actually results in lower fatalities. But the government guys don't want to do that, just like, I can't drive 55. Sammy Hagar doesn't like it either, right? But I think it all gets down to stats. I like to look at statistics on what's really proven. So these are new. only about a year and a half, where you have the flashing yellow.
Yes, sir.
So I think that we definitely need to see what happens in the next year or two and look and see if there's adverse effects, then we should address it. Also, though, the motorcycle community, it could be put on the test to make sure that because of this, that they definitely need to pay attention when they're getting their license. And another question could be put on the DMV test for regular drivers to say, you know, should you walk, how does it work with a motorcycle or whatever, to make them consciously think about it.
Right.
Because education is always the best.
Can I have a follow-up to that real quick? As a biker myself, and I see lots of people out there that complain, that ride, that do all this, and they ride, excuse my friends, like assholes. They don't pay attention, and a lot of them don't have driver's license. I think we should have stiffer penalties for non-motorcycle licenses. And I suggest, I've taken the test at DMV, it's nothing. I would suggest moving forward a comprehensive class like they have at Harley, or they have at the community college. You go in, you present that, you get that, you might get a drop on your insurance, something like that. I want, you know, that way the motorcycle riders are educated. You can walk in to a motorcycle dealership and buy a motorcycle. They don't ask you for a motorcycle license. I can go buy a Hayabusa that goes 200 miles an hour and I've never ridden before. So I think, I was wondering what you think, like on a state level, something like that, you could implement to get a license. And also the moped issue, you don't have to have a license to drive a moped either, which is also a big problem in this town.
Well, as a proponent for less government, I'm really not I don't like a lot of additional regulations. However, I do like education. I think that education is the most important thing. You know, I used to be opposed to seatbelts when they first came out, but now I appreciate it because I feel like I'm naked if I'm not wearing my seatbelt. And I know that statistically, people live a lot better in accidents if they have a seatbelt on. So I think it always gets down to education, but just like motorcyclists, you know, that don't want to wear their helmets. That's a choice they get to make. Statistically, if you're wearing a helmet, you have a lot less chance of being injured. But if somebody doesn't want to wear their helmet, should they have the right to be able to make that choice? So I'm more leaning towards freedom of choice by the individual. I think I'm a better decider of my fate than the government is. The government's force, and it's also no responsibility because the people in government, they're never accountable for anything. Where individuals are accountable for their actions. So I kind of lean towards education, but keeping the individual empowered and making his own decisions. That makes sense.
Next question?
Good afternoon, Mr. Assemblyman Jones. Thanks for your service. Good to see you. Yeah, somewhere. With the regarding civil forfeiture here in the state, you know, there's you can be driving down the street with a large sum of cash, get pulled over, all of a sudden it's ill-gotten money, confiscated, you don't get it back, or you got to fight to get it back. What's your how can you help rectify that?
Well, this is a follow-up from the last one. Of course, I do not like large government force because it doesn't. There's no accountability. We saw the videos in the judiciary about the road policeman up north who was pulling people over constantly, just taking whatever cash they had. And then most people don't have the power to fight back. I think it's ridiculous. We need to absolutely limit that and make it more penalties on anybody that uses that in the police force. But I'm not for the government being able to take any of our private property without due process. That's a reverse situation. They take it and then ask questions as opposed to going through due process then taking it. So I'm against it. Thank you.
Next question?
Hi, Brent. I'm Scott LaFata, and I'm with Conservatives for Energy Freedom. My question revolves around AB 71, and thank you for standing up against that.
What was it?
That's the gross receipts tax, AB 71. My question revolves around, I'm starting to hear rumors, you know, like the gate was at $3 million, and they said, okay, $3 million and under is to find a small business, so we're not going to go after that. What's your expectation this year? Do you think if reelected, you're going to see that the governor and his folks are going to try to lower the gates on that to 1.5 million or 2 million in revenue?
Or 500,000, or why not just
Or
eliminate it?
500,000.
Because everybody's got to pay their fair share. No, absolutely. That's the problem with it. That is absolutely the nose of the camel's under the tent, and it's just going to continue to go down. So you better believe that every Democrat that's there would prefer to be zero. So now that it's in place, we've got to really push, if we care about it, to get it eliminated. Here's an example of why it's going to be. They're going to say, well, the revenues aren't coming in that we expected, so therefore we need to lower the threshold, and we need more money. And that's an easy thing. An example would be, the taxes was actually a basket of taxes. There was cigarettes went up, there was the modified business tax, which is the tax on employers pay, on a percentage on every dollar that they paid their employees. There was the gross receipts or commerce tax, it's called. And then the other one was the tax on $500 on corporations. It used to be $100, and we used to be what's called a resident agent state. We're outside, because we have good corporation laws so people can't pierce the corporate veil. Outside companies that they do business in other multi-states would file in Nevada, and this would be their incorporation state. Now, that whole industry's gone away. So the governor put projections, well, if we have, I can't remember exactly, say 50,000 corporations, and at $500 it's going to be this much, it's going to grow 7%. Well, no, there's not going to be those corporations. I know personally a gentleman who owns Incorp, and they're canceling, like thousands and thousands of people are canceling every month when the thing comes around, because they're going to Wyoming, they're going to Florida, they're going to Texas. So Ronald Reagan proven if you lower the taxes all the way around, you create more tax, you don't increase taxes. Because the more commerce, the more change, the more tax-friendly environment, the more business is done. So
I concur with your answer. Thank you.
Next question.
My name's Tipitar. I'm a U.S. Army veteran and a political activist. So I want to tell you, you failed to bribe me because I'm a vodka man. So just saying. You didn't
your
bribe me.
vodka?
Yeah, you didn't bribe me.
Pour the room water in your vodka and see how it makes it so
There you
smooth.
go. Okay.
Negative ions really
I'll
well.
try that. So I find your race really interesting. I'm going to ask you the same exact question I asked your son a few weeks ago. So basically looking at the political atmosphere going now, how do I know you're not another Bush or a Clinton? How do I know you're trying to create a dynasty within Nevada? You're just not the next, pick any dynasty you want, but how are you going to prove me wrong on that? Because I'm not trying to look at it.
Well, first of all, I don't know about a dynasty. I'm proud of my son for being willing to step up. He's a businessman, as I am. I think I've trained him well, so I'm very proud of him. I don't know about a dynasty. We're all at a very low level of the state, to be honest with you, at this point. Now, if I was running for governor or president, you could maybe ask that. But if we vote the right way and we keep our integrity, where's the negative? I think the problem is if you're using crony inside deals to cover stuff up, like the Clintons do. I mean, I'm going to offend anybody, but for the record, and like the Bushes do, they use the inside deals. But if you're representing the people for what they want, is it that bad if my son is honest and has integrity and represents what he represents and he gets elected? I don't see it as a problem.
Thank you.
Next question.
Assemblyman Jones, my name is Patrick Casal, and I am an insurance broker. And I was very instrumental in getting rid of Xerox. But you constantly say we need to get rid of the Silver State Exchange. It doesn't cost us any more money now that it's up and running. If we get rid of it now, it'll cost the taxpayers 2% more premium dollars for each policy that's written, because the government really wants to control the exchanges. Then we also don't have the opportunity to fix the problems that are going to occur. So you keep saying get rid of the exchange, it doesn't cost us any more money. I agree, I hate Obamacare, no question. The real problem facing Nevadans is not Obamacare, although a part of it will be, is the Medicaid expansion. Right now, Medicaid exceeds 100% of the original target. When we start to pay our share, it's going to double our budget. How do you see that as being fixed, and how do we accomplish a successful remedy?
Well, it's just like if you want to keep spending on a credit card, someday it's going to come due. And first of all, I will disagree respectfully that it doesn't cost us any more money, because in the briefings that I had it may have changed in the last year, but they're doing all kinds of education for the Silver State Exchange. It costs them millions of dollars they're spending to try to educate people to use the Silver State Exchange. They do not only billboard, TV and internet, but they hold seminars where they'll spend thousands, $20,000, and they'll enroll 10 people. So it ended up being like, the amount of money we spent was like $2,500 per new enrollee. So if you think that's a bargain, I'm sorry. Free market principles are way, way better.
The funding mechanism's already in place. Oh, no, it's
Yeah.
not. I just want to let you know.
Also, I'd like to say,
if
if you don't believe that free market principles are more superior, do you think a private company would be running the DMV like the DMVs run right now? No. So why do we think that more government's going to be the solution?
All right, thank you. Last question.
All right, Brent. I'd like to say thanks for
voting against the tax. But no matter how we slice it, the government has to have a certain amount of money to operate. And what seems to happen is that every year the budgets get greater, and they're based on pie-in-the-sky actions. Would you be in favor of auditing every department of the Nevada state government to find out exactly where all the money went?
Absolutely, accountability. In fact, Assemblyman Moore was a proponent of trying to get accountability, and we were shot down by the establishment constantly. They want to keep on using platitudes and keep telling people we're going to do all these great things, but they don't want anybody to look under the hood, ever. I use the example, too, of schools. We spent hundreds of millions, I think it's $300 or $400 million for class size reduction, I put that in parentheses. And the legislature keeps asking for an audit, and the school district just basically keeps kicking the cans and won't allow it. Auditing and exposing government waste is the biggest thing, I think, that could immediately cut 10, 15, 20% off the budgets immediately. So absolutely, shed the light, accountability, 100%, 1,000%.
Can I have a quick follow-up?
Well, very quick.
Okay.
30-second reply.
Okay. The auditing process. You guys are in charge of the money. Why don't you just cut off their money?
30 seconds to reply.
Because people like me are not in control. The establishment, Rhino, banks are in control. If it was me, absolutely there would be. I'll just give a quick little thing, a little anecdote to this. So I was working with Michelle Fiore, and her and I were initially on the tax. She was going to be the chair, I was going to be the vice chair of taxation. And we made it very clear that we did not stamp any taxes. The establishment then got Chris Edwards to start wearing a wiretap. And for 3 weeks, even during session, he was wearing a wiretap and kept trying to entrap me to try to get the police were doing this. And what happened was they kicked me and Michelle both off taxation. They moved Michelle into a small little office as every other returning assembly person got a nice big office. In fact, some of the inside guys got big offices. Michelle and I both had small offices. John had a small office as well. And it just goes to show that these people do not respect or care about what the people state, and they'll say whatever they want to get elected, but they have no integrity. So if we want to bring integrity back, that's why I was started the tax pledge. That's why I created the contract in Nevada. Now, if you disagree with those issues, it's totally fine. But I'm telling you what I stand for, so I will do what I stand for.
Thank you. Another question.
Good afternoon,
Karen,
Mr. Young.
you must be getting serious because you're moving around.
I want to make sure you can see me. Thank you for joining us here today. My name is Karen Stillman. I'm the Auxiliary Director with Veterans in Politics. And after having served the people now for the state of Nevada, you know, I think we're facing the same issues that have always faced humanity. And I think we're asking the same questions that have always been asked. And, you know, the definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over and expecting different results. Do you think that the government of our country and our state are being operated in accordance with original intent? And if not, how do you expect to fight the monumental mountain of crap that faces you every day?
Okay, can somebody cue the patriotic music as I answer this question? Absolutely not. We are not adhering to the constitutional principles that made this country the greatest country on the planet, because they knew, our founding fathers knew about Europe and what happens with bloated government, and that's why they created limited government. Government is the problem. It's not the solution. Everywhere we've gone in this country, or in this world, where we perceive that more government is the solution, it's resulted in ruin and atrocities against humanity. Look at just 6 or 7 or 8 years ago, Danny Glover and Sean Penn were down saying how awesome Venezuela was because Hugo Chavez took over all the oil fields and was making this socialist paradise. You can't even get food or toilet paper now there. Look at Cuba, how they live, the workers' paradise. Look at every single country that's done this. Bigger government's not the solution. Individuals making their own decisions is the best solution. Freedom, independence, and liberty. And limited government creates the most prosperity. We created the best country on the planet, the most free, the most, when I say integrity, honestly, what we've done in every single war we've been involved in, except the Civil War, because that was ourselves. But, you know, we don't go in and occupy and take the spoils. We're the good guys, and that is because of our founding principles. Why do we go the other way, what the bad guys do? Say one thing, do the opposite. Force versus freedom. It doesn't work. It absolutely just does not work. Just look at the stats I gave even locally. Look at Detroit, the most prosperous country in the world in the 50s, ruined, bankrupt now. It's just, it's like a, you know, what is it called? A war zone. Baltimore, another example, ruined. California, it's getting ruined.
Maybe we stop you there. I hate to cut you off. I had one other person who wanted to ask one of the questions. We're running a little late, so I'll have you go ahead and ask one quick question. And answer as quickly as possible, so I give you some time to be concluding.
It's the last one.
Yes.
Thank you. Stephen, Captain Truth Dempsey, co-founder of We Are Change 9/11 Truth. There's been a lot of talk about what's wrong. Many of the people in our group feel it's the media misinformation scam perpetrated upon the American people. We just had an excellent example in the last question about money. We don't have money in this country. We have notes because we can't follow the Constitution. Evidently, we can't figure it out. I'll be giving you some information from a lady named Ellen Brown. She has a plan that was perfected by Japan.
Let me stop you there, please.
Okay,
If you can ask the question,
Okay,
so that.
that's what I'd like to know, your understanding of whether or not they follow the Constitution regarding money.
Okay, so first of all, we have fiat currency, and it's a long, long issue on the fiat currency and what's going on. But obviously, we're just creating money out of nothing. If people understood that, maybe that wouldn't have worked. But I want to say about the media, that's one of the good things is now that we have all these channels, we have the internet, we have Alex Jones, who puts some of this out, we have Newsmax TV. Newsmax is awesome if you ever want to watch it. It's phenomenal. They're exposing these things. So we have the Fox Business. So we are exposing this stuff. It's just more people need to get away from it. And liberal media is dying. They're going out of business and everything else. So you're moving in the right direction.
All right. That's what I'd ask if you give a 30-second statement. I know you're the only company there. Give us a final statement for you. 30 seconds, please.
Okay, if you want more betrayal after trust, eliminate those establishment inside crony boondoggle guys. If you want the truth, I'm willing to stand. My record shows that I will stand by the Republican principles. If you want a Democrat, then that's fine too. You know, elect a Democrat if the people want that, then that's fair because we are a representative democracy. But if you do want constitutional principles, you do want limited government, you want lower taxes, you want Nevada to be a business-free environment, or business-friendly environment, I'm the guy that would represent those ideals. But thank you very much.
Again, thank you everybody for coming here today. Again, thanks to the sponsors.